Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Hello everyone, welcome back after the weekend's action. Arsenal winning the game 1-0 over in Leicester. What a game, what a lot of opportunities, what a chance. Some things that we would usually say about these games. Unfortunately, those views may not be very trustworthy, shall we say, at this time around. Hello everyone, welcome back to Vic Akers Wonderland. My name is Matt Roberts. I hope you all are having a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, a wonderful night, whatever you're doing, whatever you're watching. Well, hopefully you're watching us at the moment. But if not, we hope you're having a fantastic... Wherever, whenever.
Whenever the weather.
I'm not trying to go very Shakira, as we can tell, but we hope that you're having a fantastic time whatever you're doing. As you can tell, I'm not alone. Lottie, how are you?
Yeah, nice to be back. I've had a week off. I'm back to bore people with my dulcet tones.
Adam, how are you?
Oh, great. Obviously, it's great to have Lottie back because we have missed you on the pod. And I'm looking forward to because I get a night off on this one and I get to be out of the hosting chair for a bit, which is a nice change of pace. So I'm looking forward to gabbling as a pundit rather than as a host.
Well, we usually start with small things. So for those that are on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. Leicester have kindly given fans a clapper over the weekend to celebrate Sophie Howard getting 100 appearances. I've just shown it now. On the reverse, it actually has the date as well of the actual game where it is and things like that, which I thought was a really nice idea. Arsenal have done something in the past around fixtures. I was just wondering, is there anything that you've been given at games that...
Yeah, I can think of a few. I've got a few bits of merch.
It's going to have to be the Arsenal scarf. With the mask, although it's got MasterCard on the back, it's my Arsenal scarf. I think my fondest memory of that is North London Forever going on and Matt's holding his scarf upside down. Absolutely priceless.
Yes,
just like the back of the scarf.
They've done a few of these things because they do the Il Maquillage bags as well. That's been another thing they've been leaving around in the Emirates Stadium, which is quite good. For me, I mean, I have got that MasterCard scarf, but for me, it's flags. I've picked up quite a few flags down the years. I don't bring them to games anymore because the poles have fallen off. I've left them at stands. They've gotten the colours gone. But for a while, I did have a few flags I used to bring to games, and even got snapped on TV waving them in front of the cameras. They did actually did a close up of me and a little montage thing, which was a bit embarrassing. But yeah, someone spotted me and thought that it would look good on TV, apparently. But flags, I've got quite a few in, and I've still got them. And I should say, on a non-Arsenal perspective, I've still got my Dutch flag, which I got, I think, during the Euros. That's the back of the car as well. So yeah, that's that for the that fan march.
Oh yes, the one that made the BBC appearance.
All I've seen is this blue shirt in the sea of orange. I can't remove that image from my head. It had to be you.
Yeah, it had to be me. Proudly wearing the wrong colours to the events. I will probably do. It's great because it means
Dutch blue. I'll give you that. That's all I'm giving you credit for.
It means you can pick yourself out in the picture when it comes out, in the press, and also it's a great way of playing Where's Wally, in more ways than one.
You were doing that at the weekend with me finding photos and doing
I was, yes, because you did turn up in some of the pictures, Matt, as did I. There was a picture
I actually
going
didn't
around.
find Adam in those pictures. I saw Matt first. I thought, okay, that's where he's sitting. I didn't really try hard enough to find you, Adam. I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, going into the game, we've just go into the warm-ups just quickly because me and Adam were there. I was quite interested to see from the goalkeeping perspective. There was a lot focused on long balls into the middle part, gathering crosses, long shots as well from the edge of the box, the 1v1s as well. All sort of areas where I think that we were expecting Leicester to really attack. And it was quite interesting to see that. Also during the warm-up, I was seeing Rosa do lots of flicks and tricks during the rondos, which sort of trying to build you into, I can't wait to see this player a little bit. And yeah, the flicks and tricks, they did come off, and a couple of nutmegs were made as well. Unfortunately, Laura Weinreuter was meant to make a start in this one, and she actually ended up being pulled off, and she wasn't able to make her 50th appearance. Still awaiting to find out those news, but that will probably happen in the press conference on Friday. So, Adam, was there anything that you spotted during the warm-up?
Not really, no. I was sort of busy taking in the environment. I've never been to the King Power Stadium, sort of finding my feet there. Obviously, I was up in the gods. You were lower down. But it was there was I was taking some pictures, and it was sort of the usual fare. You had a lot of, like I said, the rondos. There was one where the players out in the ring, they're watching them play the balls around the traditional, with the balls in and tapping the crosses. But there was nothing major or spotting. Most of the stuff I spotted was in the game itself. But it's interesting what you mentioned about Rosa and the tricks and the flicks and stuff, which she's becoming a bit like a maverick sort of player, but one that is very, very sort of chaotic and very in her moment. We'll get on to obviously how the game panned out, but my only concern is whether she is going to become a trick merchant rather than a player with a proper end product. Because it's nice that you can do all the flicks and tricks and nutmegs and step overs and stuff, but there has to be an end product as well. You don't score by doing a step over. So I think it's fantastic she could do all these tricks, and they excite, and we've seen it a lot in the game, but there has to be something at the end of it as well, which is important.
So we'll go into the lineup then and get your view on it, Lottie. Daphne Van Domselaar starts, Lotte Verben-Moy, Leah Codina, even Beth Mead, Katie McCabe, Frida Leonhardsen Maanum, Leah Velty, Caitlin Ford, Alessia Russo, Emily Fox for Laura Weinreuter, as Laura was out for the out in the warm-up, and Kyra Cooney-Cross. This is what came across. So we're looking at it as 4 across the back, with Katie McCabe captain in the side at left back, Leia and Lotte in the middle, with Emily Fox as right back. Then you have your middle 3 of Frida Leonhardsen Maanum as the attacking midfielder, Leah Velty and Kyra Cooney-Cross as the holding midfielders, and that left Caitlin Ford, Alessia Russo and Beth Mead as your attacking 3. Obviously, what was your thoughts when that came through?
Well, it would have been nice if the comms team were fully aware what was going on, because I was looking at that team photo and I thought, hang on a minute, that's a number 2. What the hell is going on? They're sitting there talking about Laura Weinreuter, and all you see is Emily Fox, and I'm like, hang on a minute, am I seeing things? I had to actually text the WhatsApp group saying, am I seeing things, or is that Emily Fox instead of Laura Weinreuter? But yeah, no, pretty standard at the moment. This is what we're used to seeing. Was happy to see Laura got a start, but obviously she got pulled up, as you said. Didn't find out till like 20 minutes until, well, not 20 minutes, but like 5-6 minutes into the first half, because comms teams didn't have no idea. I think I'm also kind of a bit miffed with the WSL channel on YouTube as well. I'm going to call them out. Caldente. How do we spell Caldente? Caldente, ladies and gentlemen.
Caldent, might even be EY or Y at the end, something like that.
EY, yeah.
Yeah.
Mariona's new name is Caldentry now.
Mm-hmm. It's up there with Lottie with a Moy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a pet peeve. They spell it CAILDENTRY, and it kind of irritated me, because obviously team sheets as well at the time they hadn't swapped Emily Fox around.
Mm.
And it's kind of getting on my nerves because in the week they also forgot Emily Fox for the Champions League. So I do kind of want to blame the WSL channel for it, but I also want to blame the club for it.
And we also, on the topic of typos, can we also raise the club that not once but twice they messed up with Frida? So
Manu.
With the midweek game, they forgot to include her on the bench, and of course she comes off the bench and scores. Yeah. And then today she becomes Manu. It's like Pokemon, isn't it? It's like you get Manu and then you get evolved into Manu. That's how it works. But
no, I got to give it to the commentator though. They did use her full name. Not all comms do, but I will give them that.
Yeah, they're paid to them.
Not even the club loses her full name, and that annoys me.
My feeling of the lineup was I was quite happy to see Daphne Van Domselaar get a start. I did call it on the preview that this would be the game, and I was quite chuffed to see her start because it'd be the most logical game to try it in. My intrigue was that Kim Little was benched. Again, I was happy to see her benched because Kim Little can't play every game, and I want to see other combinations in the team because the only way we'll know if they will work is if we try it. We can't just play Kim Little into the ground every single game. Likewise, Mario has played a lot of games on the left. Like the fact that we take her out of the team for this game, we can bring her back in, say, when we want to play Bayern Munich or Chelsea because they're on the horizon. Caitlin Vaughan and Beth Mead, they've played those flanks for years. They know the territory. So, whilst I was a bit disappointed to see some first teamers, regulars drop out, obviously Fox was going to be one of them. Sadly, she had to come back in for obvious reasons. I was happy with the team, and I thought there's enough in there that we should be able to win this game. They know all those players have played with each other enough, and then it's mostly square pegs and square holes. There's no, we're not having to play, say, like strikers at fullbacks here or defensive midfielders at centre back. It's as it should be. I was intrigued but confident with the lineup.
It was a really first half of who was going to score the first goal. There was opportunities available. Just 33 minutes, I'm going to talk about this one first because you see it, it's fantastic. Ruby Mace plays a long diagonal to Rantala, who finds enough space to shoot. And this is one of the reasons why Daphne is probably there among one of the best goalkeepers at the moment. For me, she manages to tip it onto the crossbar, and and the commentator thinks it's gone straight into the crossbar. But when you look back at it, the way the angle is, you're able to see that she actually does manage to get a tip on it, and it was a huge important save.
So this was not a goal. So this moment from where I was sat in the away stand, what I can say is the save is so good, I didn't realise she'd saved it. That's how good the save is. I thought it was a clean strike against the crossbar, and DVD's dive for it, and as you would, and she hasn't made contact, it's hit the bar and gone away, and I thought we've got lucky. There's finally been an alternative camera angle that's hit social media. I don't know if you had a chance to see it before we went onto the pod, but Leicester City put highlights up of the game on the Twitter feed, and the preview clip they've shown is that ball hitting the bar, and it's a shot from behind the goal. So you see the trajectory, and it's a tip onto the bar. You can clearly see it. It's an unbelievable save, and I mean, I want to get onto the half itself, but we'll do that once you've covered all the bits you've got lined up, because there was obviously an effort for us as well. But that save, I mean, it had been a quiet half for Daphne. I mean, they mentioned that in the post-match interview, talking to her about it, but called into action, she was there and she made the save. And to be fair, she probably had no right to make it because that should have been 1-0 Leicester. That was a quality strike and an equally quality save.
This is a player that has Rantala, that is, she scored, I think it was just over 10 goals in the WSL last season. So she is a real threat as well. Lottie, what were you feeling at home watching that and Daphne making that save?
We know what Rantala has in her locker, and I do appreciate what a good player she is. I mean, I've raked in the points of fantasy football last season on her, and I still am. So I'm quite pleased with that. I think for a first glance of Daphne Van Domselaar, I think it yeah, it was a really good performance, and the fact that she got her fingers to that ball, it reminds me of the curling one that went to Aaron Ramsdale a few seasons ago. I think that was against Leicester at the King Power as well. So there's something about our goalkeepers and
The free kick, yeah,
exactly.
Later, it was Kopp's turn to make a fine save. This time, I can't remember the exact move, but essentially, Arsenal pressed on. Caitlin Forbes managed to get the ball. She passes it on to Alessia Russo, then finds Leah Volti. I think Leah Volti's going to score again. You don't think she's not going to score a second in a week, are you? And
that
making that save. Sorry, Lottie, let me.
No, that was just that was insane. Like, Wally doesn't shoot for goals. All of a sudden, she's just going for it back to back, week in, week out. And it's just it's nice to see that she can add that to her game. I know she wouldn't normally, because she's normally pulling the strings. The blessing of having a two-footed midfielder can pass the ball from either foot. And it's just nice to see her actually have a crack at things when she has the opportunity.
I was saying when I left the ground week, we'd used up our Wally Weldy card against in the hacking game. That's it. Wally's got her goal. That's the magic Wally goal. We're not going to get another one this season, and it showed. Obviously, against Leicester City, we went for a second one. It's a really good save from Kopp.
Doesn't Wally have a card for every competition? I don't think the Champions League counts for WSL.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, maybe that's the case, but we usually get at least one Weldy or Wally Weldy per season. And I feared that
come on,
feared that maybe we played that card too soon. Yeah, well, absolutely. Really good save by Kopp, because it was the event in the entire half where we looked remotely threatening. I was watching the game, and I was just. I mean, I was not rolling off, but I was watching thinking it was just boring. It was just nothing in that 45 minutes. Nothing. Well, nothing happened. Two things happened. Leicester hit the bar, and Wally had a shot save, and maybe I think Russo hit the side netting at a set piece. But other than that, the three isolated moments, nothing. Just it was. I couldn't believe what I was thinking after the excitement of BK Häcken, after seeing us cut Man City to ribbons at the Emirates Stadium, and think, right, we've got a free-flowing attack going. It just nothing happened. I mean, I mentioned it afterwards, and I'll mention it again. It was Wenger said, sometimes we play with the handbrake on. This was playing with the handbrake on. It was like we were trying to play football with no energy. And I don't know if it's because the players had no energy because of the exertions midweek against BK Häcken, and therefore they weren't able to match that intensity, because it was quite an intense game, we should say. They won 4-0 out winners and really pushed hard on Häcken, and maybe they were trying to conserve the pace and the energy, but it was a really weak, paceless, energyless, and nothing. It was just nothing in that half, and it was really weird to see, especially as this is a ground where Arsenal historically do very well and score a lot of goals, and it's usually a lot of fun. So enduring that for 45 minutes was a concern, and especially because there was enough quality. I know we'd taken some big players out, but there was enough quality on that pitch to ensure that this shouldn't be happening.
I think we need to start getting used to the idea we actually have depth on that bench and not worry about what combinations we put out anymore. I know it's a weird concept, but we're going to have to get used to that very quickly.
Well, there are yes, and I think this is the key bit, and which is why it's a useful failure. I mean, we'll get onto the second half and how it panned out, but we need to prove what doesn't work, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of what we played on the day didn't work and needs working on if we are going to get this whole thing to work, because ideally you want to have a versatile team where you can bring players in and they all work and they all work in different positions, and you have that flexibility. But I think there are a lot of partnerships on the team in different positions where it didn't work, and the only way you're going to find out that they don't work is if you play them. And I think there's a lot of stuff that happened there. They're going to have to go back on a training pitch and say that combination didn't work, those players in those positions playing with those certain players didn't work. And then maybe we'll get onto that later.
Lottie, let's just talk about that first half. What did you make of it as a whole? I mean, Adam's made his...
It was boring. There's nothing else to say about it. It was boring. Apart from those 3 events, there's nothing much I can say about it. I think what drove me slightly mad throughout the whole game was those short corners. Just take a corner properly.
Yes.
It drove me absolutely insane. I'm like, what are we doing? Like,
so can I pick you up on this one, Lottie? Because this is really good. Because the short corners all happened in front of the away end, so they were right in front of us, and we had Beth Mead and Katie McCabe doing a short corner. Now, from an Arsenal men's perspective, we're used to them just whipping the ball in, aiming for that back post.
their set pieces are glorious. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah,
they're glorious.
absolutely. Now, Arsenal,
they work,
Arsenal
they bring
brought in a
goals,
new
and
set.
that's what we want.
Arsenal brought in a new set piece coach after the other chap left. I think understandably so. And there was a bit of excitement during pre-season because we scored 2 goals rather from set pieces against Southampton, and we thought, oh crikey, we're working again. Based on this, I can only assume that the short corner was something that they had identified in the build-up to the game, where they said, right, Leicester City playing this way. Therefore, the best way that we can counter this way of how they defend set pieces is by taking it short. And the idea was that they would do a 1-2 and Beth Mead would do an in-swinger rather than from the corner spot, but ideally from a better angle further up the penalty area, almost towards like the corner of the penalty area. But the problem is Leicester City got so wide to that, they just sent a defender out to them. So there's no... It's like when you take a quick free kick, the idea is you're trying to catch the defence unawares and get them when they're not settled. But if you let them set and then you take the corner short, it sort of becomes meaningless. And it had absolutely no effect. And you could tell the front of the away fans who were clocked on this was happening on a frequent occurrence, and it was not working on a frequent occurrence. And there was an exasperation growing of every short corner that they took until eventually that Leicester were able to get across and block Beth Mead's balls coming in. And eventually they abandoned it. I think about midway for the first half, they just went back to whipping the crosses in properly, which, to be fair, had no greater effect either. But yeah, it is a bugbear, short corners. They can work, and I think when they do work, it's fine. But there's always an element of we just want it whipped in the mixer, and the fact that wasn't happening, and again, we weren't creating opportunities in open play anyway. The set pieces aren't functioning at all. It was a very dysfunctional performance. With a lot of poor touches, poor decision making, just sloppiness. Just there was no finesse and precision. I lost count amount of times there'll be a pass stretch out play, or someone's an attacking move and they trod on the ball and lose possession, or they overhit the pass for a player to run into. I want to have a shout out. Obviously, we'll get the second half in a bit, but for the first half, CJ Bott didn't give Ford a sniff on that flank. Again, Ford was running down the left flank right in front of the away fans. We could see the battle she was having with Bott. Bott had her number. Ford couldn't get anything out of her, and I think with that neutralised, suddenly you're in major trouble.
No, Ruby Mace had a brilliant first half as well. I can see why Matt appreciates her as well. I didn't see her in the Arsenal shirt, but she's a decent player, Matt. I'll give you that again.
That pass, that switch of play for when they hit the crossbar was brilliant, and she's a quality player. But we were unlucky to lose her.
I just think she's got such a high potential. I don't know whether or not she'll be at Leicester for long or she'll end up moving away. But it was always nice to see an ex-Gooner doing quite well. And just into that second half, then I think we'll start with a goal. It's just because of what I usually do these things, I see that there's a timer on the screen. There's no timer on the screens on some of these highlights anymore. So it's just like it's
about 65 minutes. About 65 minutes, or 55 minutes in. I think it was 55 minutes in.
Yeah, 55. If you
Anyway, Kyra has the ball with a size right. I'm going to go and pump it long, try and find Caitlin Ford. Doesn't find anyone, and the Foxes pick it up. CJ Bott then opts to play the ball back to Kopp, and Alessia sees the opportunity. She pounces on the ball. Kopp has tried to come for it, but she's not able to get there in time. She's not allowed to pick it up because it's obviously either it's a back pass, free kick. indirect free kick in the penalty area, which most time, 9 times out of 10, you score a goal from. And anyway, and Alessia does this amazing thing where she's just waiting. She's waiting. No one's pressing her. No one's doing anything. She's just waiting for Frida because she's just seen that on the eye from the eye that Frida's making her run. And as soon as Frida's made that run on the edge of the six, she's just dinked it over to her, and Frida's managed to tap it in. It's 3-3 for Frida, Leonhardsen Maanum, and that's across all competitions. So Frida scoring 3-3. It's great to see. It kind of looks like we got our Frida back.
Yeah, it's just a shame it's taking us to get rid of Viviana Miedema to do so. And just sometimes I look at it now and I'm sad that she's gone, but I'm glad that Frida's finding her feet again after that World Cup and last season. It's benefited her massively. I think during that the worst part of that was probably the mistake from Leicester. And that is where Lottie Russo came in and swooped in. You can't be doing that around strikers because they'll read that. Okay, that's mine. Boom, done. It was 1-0, and I think that's what we were waiting for. And it's slightly annoying, but that's what we were waiting for, and we got it in the end because their defense was sensational. Let's be honest.
I've got a lot on this goal. So this is obviously CJ Bott again, and this is why I wanted to raise how good she was in the first half, because she was very good. One of the key reasons that Ford couldn't get anything in the game, but it's her. Well, I say it's her mistake. It's slightly harsh to say that. I did a post about this. If you watch the highlights back, she obviously looks around, checks the awareness, see where everyone is. She makes the pass, and see the camera tricking and everything. But looking at the screen when she makes that pass, there's no one there. It's just the keeper. Russo's not there. I think it's the problem that CJ Bott is that it's undercooked. It just doesn't have enough pace to get to the keeper in time. And I like that Russo's awareness of that situation is that and the speed to know that she can get to that back pass. Obviously, she presses a lot, but it shows the merit also of pressing, because sometimes you see strikers press keepers and it seems like a what's the best way to describe it? A failed cause, if you were, pointless even, because the keeper sort of get there. But it's at that one moment where the back pass isn't strong enough and you get into it. And I agree with you, Matt. It's the fact that she didn't rush it. She didn't go in and go for a shot or rush the moment. There was a clarity. We spoke in previous pods about not having that clarity in the final third and not knowing the right option. The crucial thing is that Russo stopped and had the time, and we know that Frida is really good at those late runs into the penalty area. We saw that in the Manchester City game. That's how she scored. Really good awareness from Russo, as you say, to dink it over the keeper and Frida tap in. Now, I don't think Frida and Russo as a partnership works. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. I don't agree with it. For me, if Frida at 10, and I do think Lottie's right with the whole medium thing, because I said I think even last season before, after Frida had that really good season, I said she's going to be the number 10 in the future, and Viv won't be. And I got a lot of stick for that. And people just say, "How dare you? How dare you say that Viv, isn't good? This is how it's panned out." And I think yes, she's good in that position, but Russo is not a compatible striker for the game that Frida plays. Now, Russo and Frida did combine to score the winner, so it kind of works against my own argument. But I stand by the fact that goal did not come about because of the way that Frida and Russo worked together. That came about because Russo picked up on a sloppy back pass, and it was a moment of fortune, not a moment of design. And when I say like a moment of design, I think back to how Frida and Stina worked together to score those goals. There was some last season I remember, like in the League Cups and the season before when Frida had that strong season. The way that the two work in tandem together is how a strike partnership should work. And I wrote about this. My feeling is with Frida and Stina and Frida and Russo. And there's a moment against Manchester City when, if you remember, when Frida blasted the ball over the bar, the reason she had the space to operate is because Stina's occupying the centre backs. She's running across goal. She's drawn with defence back. Frida has space to run into. She can do what she likes. She can play passes. She can take shots. Because Russo likes to come deep, she draws the defence and just compresses that space, and therefore Frida's got no room to operate because everyone's all around her and nullifies the attack.
Thing is, with the Stina and Frida relationship, we've already said several times on this pod that if Stina scores, you know Frieda's going to be following up behind her. One of them will score when they play together, or they both will. And we saw that multiple times last season. So I think I get where you're coming from, but it's could we not give it more time to
We gave it a
adjust?
lot.
Or
Well, this is the thing. So last season we did give it a lot, and we said, "Oh, Frida wasn't at it, and maybe that's why it wasn't happening."
Frida
But
wasn't Frida, like I
no,
as well. So that's kind of stacking the odds against her.
I,
I will
I
defend
feel
Frida. I adore
no,
Frida. So
I think Frida's great, and I think for the owners, Frida is the 10 that we want in that how she plays in that position. She gives the owners exactly what he wants in that team, and I think that's why he often goes for her as the 10 as a norm. And in Russo, it's pretty clear he sees Russo as his main striker. Not Stina. Russo is his main striker. Stina is the alternative striker and alternative options, which is great to have. And I think he wants Frida at 10 and he wants Russo at 9, and they both do the things that he wants, but it doesn't work together, if that makes sense. It's like two separate ideas
I
that he
think
wants in the team, but don't
I
at
get
the
that. I
moment.
think it might be a case of adjustment period again, because we've got the Frida back that we had not last season, season before. So I think I'm willing to give it a little bit more time before I pass my judgment myself. But
When you think
you're
about
firmly
it
in the
as
camp that
well,
it's not going to happen.
the reason why Stina and
I'm not
Frida
convinced.
worked so well is the fact that they had to work together because there was no alternatives because of the how many injuries there were. There was no one else there.
Yeah, I think it's the way that Stina plays is very different to Russo, as Adam's just said. So Stina's style of play is more accommodating to the way Frida plays than it is the other way around. If that makes sense.
And don't get it back to the front, Matt. We should say that when Frida came into 10, that was before the ACLs. That was the away trip in Lyon. When Stina led the line, Frida was put the 10 and Viv was on the bench. And obviously that game gone down legendary. But that's what I mean. It was not like a moment of circumstance and it just happened to work. It was working before it then became a necessity.
But the idea is that essentially it was around this time 2 years ago that Frida was working her magic at the time. So for me, it's about making sure that she gets that same amount of time with Alessia so that they can work together to be able to be as formidable as possible. It might be a case that Alessia has to learn that she has to be more of a fox in the box, which, to be honest, I've always seen Alessia as the fox in the box. She's tall. She's really quick from what we've seen at the weekend. She's got all the ability to do it. It's just the way, I don't know what it is, but when she's playing for England to where she is playing for Arsenal, she seems to be more of a fox in the box for England than she is for Arsenal, which is a bit of a weird one for me.
It all depends on how the differences between Serena's setup and Jonas's setup. They're two completely different setups when you look at it. And I think that's probably it.
Lost Adam. Right, okay. So just quickly going to catch up on Janice Cayman's shot against DVD. Another one that was really well saved, and Trosto as well with a 1-on-1 again saved by Daphne Van Domselaar as well. She did become player of the match, and was it deserves? I think we're all going to have some sort of agreement.
Did you just go to say Daphne Van Domselaar?
No, I did say
Did you say Danny?
Did I say
you said
Danny?
Danny? You said Danny.
Oh
no!
She's gone, Matt. She's gone. Let it go. She's gone.
I do love me that she's called DVD. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But no, well, I should have said DVD point one. Should I say
point two?
2.2.
Mark 2.
Well, she's a bit taller than the original DVD as well, so you could probably say 1.5 if you like. But yeah, again, fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, player of the match after seeing how influential she was.
Yes, we didn't. Frida may have won us the game, but Daphne made sure that we didn't draw or lose it. If that makes sense. And I think there's another thing because we should say, obviously the first half we covered, which is brilliant. 2 really good saves on the counter. Two moments where I was certain Leicester City were going to score because they really should have scored. And I mean, as the debuts go, brilliant. You want that moment of heroism. And Lottie made a really good comparison to the Aaron Ramsdale free kick, because that moment of heroism, we tipped on the bar, it was a splendid save. And at that moment, the Arsenal fans were all on board the Aaron Ramsdale hype train for as long as it sadly went, it didn't go on for as long as we maybe we'd hoped. But you need that moment to announce yourself, and the goalkeeper, and Daphne did that with 3 really good saves. But that happens because Jonas makes a substitution. He takes Katie McCabe off, he brings Rosa Kafaji on. Now, obviously, Rosa Kafaji is not a left back. So we thought, maybe he's going for back 3, maybe he's clogging up the midfield, maybe that's how we're going to play the game out. No, he played Caitlin Ford at left back. And again, talking about experimentations, I mentioned earlier, some bits didn't work, some connections didn't work. This was an experiment that did not work. And I don't think Jonas will do it again unless he absolutely has to. Because I know Caitlin Ford in a previous life was a full-back back in 2011 when she was played the season at the World Cup. That was when she was just a footballer. She's not a left back now, and she never will be, because just the amount of times Leicester exploited the space where she got stuck upfield and just kept bombing down that flank. That's the reason why Katie Reid came on with a few minutes left and took Ford off, because if Leicester City were going to it was going to come back to make that. I know, yeah.
I'm sorry, Adam. It's just one of those ones where you look at and go, well, where's our left back? And it's one person you don't expect to probably be at the back is probably Beth Mead or Caitlin Ford. And I was looking at it going, you got a defender on the bench and Katie Reid, user, and it was pulling her away, calling her back, and it was just.
I think he wants to bring Kafaji on. He wants to bring Kafaji on to improve the attack, and I get that. She said she almost made it 2-0. She very nearly killed the game off at the end. Probably should have done. Again, this is one about final third productivity and being good in that moment. It's all well good doing the tricks and the flicks, but you need in that moment when she tops inside, the goals at her mercy. She has to score that. I'm sorry, she just has to, and that kills the game stone dead. And we're not a bit nervous at the end. But I think the reason he put Rosa on, and for me, I would have taken Ford off and put Rosa on, and this wouldn't be an issue. And I can only assume that McCabe just couldn't run anymore, that she was running to the ground. She had to come off. It was fatigue or an injury. And that was the only way that we can manage the situation. But I'll flip it over and say, if that was the case, take the pair of them off, bring Katie Reid and Rosa on, and then you've at least got a reasonably roundish peg to go in that round hole. That was a mistake, and we almost lost the game for it. And the only reason we almost drew the game or even lose it, the only reason we did it was because DVD made 2 really good saves at that near post. One of them was a dive and one of them was with her legs. And she rightly won player of the match. And I think Manu's got competition. I think this is really good to see. And you want to keep her who isn't comfortable with their position, because Daphne's going to push Manu now for that number 1 spot. And we've got a week now. Looking ahead to Everton at home, we've got Bayern Munich away, and we've got Chelsea at home. I think Bayern and Chelsea, Manu will play in those games. But Everton at home at Emirates Stadium, I don't think Daphne's done anything to deserve being taken out of the team. I'd give her another go in that goal, because she was terrific.
Unfortunately, Lottie, you didn't get to see any of all this, did you?
Nope. Because the WSL YouTube channel cut off at 80 minutes. I didn't realise that was the new length for the game. Came back on 93, and I thought, I'm not watching the rest of this. I've not seen what's gone on between. So, no. I'm going to let Adam have his little monologue on this section.
Can I just put your whistle on it as a fan experience? Is it because it was very stressful for us in the ground, because we were having to watch it, we could see what was happening, and the fact that Leicester were having good chances against us, and we're having to now go from looking to get an extra goal to clinging on for dear life, because we don't look like this for a second until Rosa's chance. The fact that you're not seeing any of this and all you've got is a black screen, is that worse or better mentally?
It wound me up. Like, I want to watch the game. Like, what are you playing at? That's how irritating it was. Just irritating. It was just like, great, how long are we going to sit here at a black screen? Literally 30 seconds ago, it comes back on. What's the point? You might as well switch it off.
So you having to rely.
Even the Liverpool stream went as well.
Yeah.
Adam,
not from the production value.
Sorry, go on.
Actually, it's not good from the production value that the production team that they can't get a stream to work for a whole 90 minutes. It's not a good look for the WSL.
Especially when it's like the second game week. It's not a great vibe.
No.
I'm just thinking, imagine if I know it sounds really weird, but imagine if this was like against Arsenal, Man United, and it's a really intense game where it's like end to end, it's 2-2, and say it's the last 10 minutes, and then the stream
If
cuts
we go
off.
in radio rental, like I'd be absolutely fuming, but I wouldn't be fuming because I'd be at that game because I've got seats. So
Yeah.
if it was away up in that dump they call LSV, it would be an issue because it's one of the biggest fixtures of the season. We're away from home against supposedly one of the top clubs. And I say supposedly because, we all know the story.
Yeah.
And it's just really irritating. I mean, even if it happened in the North London derby, I'd lose myself. Do you know?
It's up there with ITV games adverts in the middle of. You remember when ITV used to go to adverts? And by mistake, there was an England game at a World Cup where they put a car advert on, and then it came back, and England had gone 1-0 against the USA at a World Cup. Or there was a Merseyside derby, and it was the FA Cup. And Matt probably knows the goal I mean. I think it was Gosling. It was 0-0 extra time, and suddenly it did those transitions to adverts, and it came back, and I think Gosling's being mobbed by the Everton fans because he's just put them 1-0 in a cup tie. And it's not. It happens in football. It happens on TV. It happens, as I said, on live. The FA player is known for it. It used to happen as well. Streams would fade, or the commentary would go out of sync, and it's just unprofessional. We want this to be the best league in women's league in the world, and we want to put this image forward of how we are the best and everything is the best, and then just get undermined by this mediocrity, and it's just unnecessary, and it's a shame. And I hope that they can get it right. They can learn to pronounce players' names right. They can spell players' names right. They can keep the footage going for another 10 minutes and put enough money in the meter. But it just shows I think a lack of respect towards the players. They deserve better, and it's just unprofessional. So all things for the new WPLL to work through on their ever-expanding list of issues, up there with fixture arrangements between Champions League matches.
I feel like I'm having a go at the commentator at the moment, but he sounded so bored, and I'm sitting there thinking, reflecting back on the game, I was bored. That's why I was picking on him in my head, thinking, God, you sound so boring.
But
the game was boring.
Could you imagine an excited Peter Drury? Could you imagine an excited Peter Drury, like really passionately describing a very boring 0-0 draw? Just the contrast would be almost comedic.
This is why one of the reasons why I think we've been talked in the past about commentators, and I've said that when there are games where there's nothing on the line and you've got a commentator who's just talking in a very monotone like this, it just sounds like, you know what, you'd rather be doing anything else than just sitting and watching this. You need to be lively when you're talking. If these fans they're coming from all over the world, essentially. They're coming from, a lot of them are like from one corner of the world. They could be New Zealand, America. We've already seen how it's gone on the tour, that there was a lot of following for Arsenal women, especially in the US. And it's just, if they're getting up at 3:00 in the morning and they want to see you, sorry, I say Arsenal versus Leicester, and that happens, that is worrying. If you've got a commentator who just sits there and is so passionate and uninterested in the game, it just kills your interest.
You look back at that game, as we said earlier, it was boring. It was 1-0, 3 points, job done. That is the easiest way to sum up that game.
Peter's jury, he got into about this sort of thing. The idea of, well, obviously it wasn't 0-0 for us, it was 1-0, but it was a boring game. But someone was asking about, is it fun to comment it on, let's say, a 0-0 draw when nothing's happening? And he makes this interesting, I can't remember what the words were exactly, but it's an interesting point where it's like, it's not boring because you don't know how this is going to end. And for like the fans of the crowd, 0-0 going into the 90th minute, if a winner comes in, suddenly it's one of the most exciting ends to a game ever because it's a last minute winner, which obviously we all love, especially when our team are the ones that have profited from it. So you have to have faith in the fixture that it will provide the drama that you are commentating on. And in this instance, obviously the commentator had no faith in the fixture. You have to
No,
if the game's
absolutely.
exciting, you've got to provide a bit of it yourself.
I mean, look at last season's scoreline: 2-0 done at half time, come back 6-2.
Yeah.
That's the games we dream of. Like, won't forget it that easy. I might have been at home that day, but that game's easy is one of my favourite games last season, away from home. But again, those days are gone because there's someone else at the wheel up at Leicester now.
Yes.
And Leicester have completely changed the way they play.
I think that is another thing as well. And it's a really good point because I did mention that's been a happy hunting ground for us in previous seasons, but they have got a new manager in. And I think, I mean, a part of me was hoping, we're going to, I mean, I said in the preview when they did score predictions that I don't like when it comes back to bite me, and this one almost did. But yeah, they've changed, and they've changed positively as well, and that's really good to see. And we don't, as much as we enjoy high score lines, they're fantastic. You can laugh about them, especially when you've come from 2 goals down. For the competitiveness of the league, you don't want that. You don't want Chelsea battering Crystal Palace 7-0 because that just highlights a huge disparity. Was it 7-0 in the end or 9? I lost count by the end of it. It was 7. It was 7. I know Chelsea have battered Leicester City 9-0 in the past. You want a closer game, even though it's less of a spectacle. It highlights that there is a
it's a bit like the Liverpool game. They were winning 1-0 all the way through, and then all of a sudden they've done 5 changes, and then it's 1-1. Like, it may have ended in a draw, but you could look at those games and you think, yeah, it could have gone tooth and nail to the end. But because Liverpool didn't switch on and sort themselves out quick enough, it ended up being 1-1.
Lost the win, got the draw.
Well, I was going to try and save the fixtures of things for another day, but I think we'll just quickly talk about it because just interesting piece of news, wasn't it? The fact that someone's getting a break and someone is not getting a break this weekend. So just quickly go on that and then we'll finish off.
Yeah. Go on, Adam, you can go first.
No, you go first, Lottie. You go first. I'll give you this one. Okay. Well, I'll start swinging then. It's farcical. It's sorry. This is something that's been known in advance. It's not like Chelsea had to go for the qualifiers like we did. It was known that Chelsea would be in the Champions League this season. They will be playing on these match days that would happen at these positions with a day or so either side. But we knew that this was going to happen. So when the Premier League are putting, the WSL Super League rather, shall I say, are putting the fixtures together, they know that this is a constant that needs to be worked around. And the fact that they've got to this point and they've realised, was it a 2-day gap between Real Madrid away and then Chelsea at home, Kingsmeadow, we should say, not even Stamford Bridge. Kingsmeadow against Manchester United, and that was going to be a stout crowd. It would have been a cracking game. Sky's been doing the big promo on it. You were watching it on the sort of the games over the weekend. You were still saying we'll be back next week with the Chelsea Man United game, and they've had to pull it because there's simply no room in the calendar. There's no way they can logistically place it, and it's clashing with the Champions League. And again, it's like with the streams and stuff. It's unprofessional. We're trying to portray this league as being good. It's a really it's being undermined by the logistical. Back to last season when we had the Everton game and it got scheduled in the middle of the blackout, so no one realised until the last minute that we can't actually broadcast this game on the FA Player, and the only people who could watch it were the people in the stands or people who weren't in the United Kingdom. And there is obviously an element of, well, it gives them an advantage. And yes, by then getting an advantage, we are disadvantaged, if you will. But that's the case. But I don't want this to be taken away from something. I wouldn't want to have that rest, if that makes it as bizarre as it sounds. I don't want to have that game. If it's an opposition, if we had if our schedule had been told, right, the Everton game's been taken away from you, so you got a bit more rest, and then you got Bayern and Chelsea. But no, I don't. I want that game in. Because it means I don't have another game down the line because Chelsea Man United will be rescheduled and that's going to inconvenience Chelsea down the line. So there's that as well. They're going to have a fixture pile up somewhere because that game's going to come in somewhere and it's going to clash with a lot of other stuff. But also you want to get that rhythm of games going, that weekend, midweek, and we don't, and they're not, it's not like we're going, League Cup games. Bayern Munich away is going to be a tough game. Juventus away is going to be a tough game. Juventus at home is going to be a tough game. Bayern Munich at home is going to be a tough game. And Valerenga, we've just got to be professional and do the job. But they're going to be interspersed with Chelsea at home. They're going to, that's a nightmare pile-up, but you want that because it's 2 high-quality games. You can really test the squad. And I think this Leicester City game has shown us this squad needs more work and more game time together because the connections that simply did not exist, and that's why we struggled. And we need to pick that up sharpish. So I think it is, yes, short-term it's a disadvantage to us and an advantage to Chelsea. But long-term, I think it will even back out again.
Adam's hit the nail on the head as always. I think what annoys me more than anything is that they're not just like Sonia Bonpasta has just come to this league and she's already getting special treatment, and it doesn't necessarily benefit Man United because they're not in the European competition. They're still trying to find their rhythm. Do you know what I mean? And I think it disadvantages them because they always get battered by Chelsea. Absolutely battered. But that was the days of Emma Hayes. It might change now, but I don't think it will. And you kind of look at Sonia Bonpasta's bench and you look at the depth that squad has. Why can't you rotate? Why can't you do that? Rest your players, key players. There's a couple of consistent players that have played over the last 2 weeks. Writing Cambridge, she was brought off for 53 minutes, which was I found a bit weird, but I understood why. It's just a bit, I don't know. You look at the size of their squad, you look at how many players they got, the depth in that, and it just doesn't make sense. Why not put your plan B team out? Give your A team a rest.
Do you think they could have played Real Madrid away and Man United at home with that time difference, but with a rotators like a B squad and win both games?
Yeah. I really do. I think Man United might have given their B, depending on the B team in the lineups, that Man United would have given them a run for their money because Skinner's going to put out his top squads against another notorious top side. Like, he wants to be beating them. He's not beat them at all.
We should say, obviously, we don't. Yeah, but we should say, I know you're saying about special treatment stuff. We shouldn't say this is not Chelsea's fault at all. This is not as much as this may advance us. This is entirely on the league.
If it was us, it wouldn't happen.
You think so? You think that we wouldn't?
No. I don't think so.
Well, yeah.
Personal opinion, but I don't think it would. But
to be fair,
we'll see what happens.
About the whole
thing is, I'd rather have the 2-day plays than the long-term pile-up because she's going to pay for that fixture change and the adjustment. Short term might benefit them, but long term, once the cups start moving and everything else, where are you going to put it?
It's actually another point to add to that is because they're going to lose that weekend. There's an opportunity now I know there's games in hand, but the likes of Manchester City, the likes of Arsenal, and whoever may else be in that upper bracket, they have the opportunity to overtake Chelsea now. Exactly. And with that game, momentum's everything in the league, and when Chelsea come to play Manchester United, whenever it's scheduled, their squad could be in tatters. Manchester United could be riding on a crescendo of amazing form, and suddenly it's not the ideal. I think back to a few seasons ago. I know a few seasons ago we had Manchester City away on the opening game of the season, and the confidence was, well, we're coming in buzzing. We're all our squad settled. Manchester City are not settled. We can go there and we can even get a win. And for very tragic circumstances, obviously the game had to be cancelled, and I fully get that. The problem was by the time it got rescheduled, it was like an Uno reverse. Our squad was in tatters of injuries, and Manchester City were in full form, and of course they beat us. Timing of fixtures are just so important, and taking this game out from him just after Chelsea had battered Crystal Palace 7-0, riding that wave of form. And when it comes back into play, it could be a very different landscape, and that could be pivotal in the title race.
So that is all the time that we have for you tonight. Lottie, where can the lovely people find you?
You can find me at Lottie_AWFC on Twitter and Instagram. You can not usually find what I'm up to on match day. Twitter, I'm not really around anymore, but I do stick my head in now and again.
Adam, where can the lovely people find you?
You can find me at AdamSalter4 on Twitter/X, and you can find me on Threads at Adam_Salter4. And you can find my historical archive of all things Arsenal women, which is growing daily, weekly. So do give it a follow at the AW Archive.
You can follow the pod at VAW Pod. You can also follow myself at MattLR28. Thank you all for joining us wherever you are. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You can always leave a comment. We always like reading our comments as well if you're on YouTube and if you want to enjoy your evening, then please do. Evening, day, night, wherever you're watching this. But until then, see you next time. And don't forget, come on, you Gunners.